Like wanted to give an update. When I woke up this morning, I just kept kind of feeling this in my spirit about the word that I released last month. It was actually kind of published in Charisma magazine about the plumb line of awakening, or is actually, we titled it a little different there. It's a prophetic word and 4 keys for intercessors that are contending for revival. And anytime a prophetic word goes out, I'd like to go back and review that word. I don't just like to throw certain things out there and well, if it misses, I'm going to go duck and hide. No, when something is out there, I want to go see where we are with that word and see how that word is stewarded and if that word's coming to pass. And Jeremiah 27, I believe it's 27:15, 27:18, it talks about if there be a true word, if they be truly prophets, let them make intercession. And so a lot of times when words goes out, a key to the prophetic ministry is making intercession for those words. But one of the comments in that word, I was talking about the plumb line and the plumb line of awakening. In Amos 7:7, it talks about the Lord had a plumb line in his hand, and he let that plumb line drop down. And it was at a conference last year where I was really getting this download about the plumb line and what that represented and what that looked like. And I was getting part of the word. It says we know in part, we prophesy in part. And so I was getting a part of that word around last October, and then the fullness of the word, I believe, came around January, February of this year. And in part of that word, there was 4 keys for intercessors that I believe the Lord was saying in that message. And those 4 keys were to arise, to awaken, to align, and then to appeal. So we first got to arise. Yes, awesome. First, we got to arise to our position. We've been stuck in an apathetic and a passive place. And God's really calling us to that apostolic and prophetic place. And so we got to arise to our current positions, and we got to arise to where God has called us to be. And then we must awake. We must be awakened to the reality of the situations that are going on, not just in the world, but even in the church, and see the things there. And God's really bringing an order, and that's what I'm going to get to in a minute. Then we must align. We must align our head and our hearts and our hands to the head and the hearts and the hand of Christ, and be doing what He's called us to do. And then we must make our appeals. We got to start really getting into the place of intercession, the place of being the ecclesia, the legislative body of God, and start making our decrees. And it's not just praying these passive prayers, but actually getting a hold in the throne room and in the courts of heaven and seeing things shift in territory, seeing things shift in atmospheres. And so those are some of the keys. Again, you can go and check those out as well. But as I was closing that out, I was wanting to focus. Hey, Denver. Hey, buddy. I was talking about the plumb line. And one thing about a plumb line, when you drop it down, the weight of the bob of the plumb line is going to swing back and forth for a season, and then as it starts steadying, it's going to start slowing down until it comes to a stop. And I believe what's happened in this past season, a lot of people have been feeling the sway of going back and forth. They've been feeling the sway of trying to make certain decisions. Do I do this or do I do that? Do I sow here? Do I plant here? Do I pick up and do I move here? Do I move there? Do just several different mindsets of transition. And I feel like people have been swaying back and forth through thoughts, and the enemy would like to bring condemnation and call that double-mindedness. But when you're actually after the heart of the Father and you're functioning in His kingdom, I believe this part of the sway here is actually part of the plumb line of alignment. And part of this sway is God is strategically placing you and strategically moving you where He wants you to be aligned. But I believe He's truly aligning a lot of things in this moment right now. He's aligning, we know according to Malachi 4, He's aligning the generations. He's the hearts of the sons and the fathers of sons are truly coming together. And so those things are happening. He's aligning ministries. Certain ministries are coming together. You're seeing teams formed, just like in the book of Acts. You're seeing ministers go out 2 by 2 and going out and ministering the gospel of the kingdom. You're seeing divine partnerships come together. You're seeing even the positions being restored. You're seeing the apostolic and the prophetic ministry coming together and functioning, just like in the wilderness as they were leaving out. I talked about this the other day on another scope. Talked about how they moved with an apostolic cloud and then a prophetic fire. The apostolic cloud brought a covering to them and a protection to them, and even a guiding with them during the hot sun as they were trying to walk through the wilderness. But at night, even in the desert, it's going to get cold. And so that prophetic fire was there to bring warmth and bring comfort. New Testament prophecies, edification, exhortation, and comfort. Corrections in there as well, because the Lord chastises whom he loves. But even at night in that wilderness on the walk, it can get cold in that desert season as you're in transition. And so here's the children of Israel were being aligned to their promise, and they were leaving certain things, they were leaving certain places, and it took that apostolic cloud of protection and covering, but also had that prophetic fire at night as things were getting cold, as things were the sun was setting and the darkness was coming up. That prophetic fire also brought revelation and insight to situations. It brought illumination, and that's the other thing the Lord is doing in this season of alignment. He's illuminating certain things to you so you can be properly aligned. He's illuminating old words that maybe have been laying dormant. He's illuminating old visions that may have been laying dormant. He's illuminating old dreams that you may have just thought have passed, or the time has passed, but he's illuminating those things so he can bring you to the fullness of alignment. And that's the sway that you're feeling. That's the sway that you've been feeling in this past seasons, is this plumb line that's been swaying back and forth. But I feel like even now that plumb line is starting to slow, and as it starts to slow, things are being filtered down. There's going to be some more cuttings away. There's going to be some more relationships that'll be removed. There's going to be more transitions that come, just like a Gideon's army. The whole army was great to go and fight and do the things of the Lord, but for what the Lord was doing in that moment, he had to cut away certain things. And there were several different cuttings that had to happen and several different removals that had to happen. And don't be offended by these. The Lord is just strategically aligning people in these moments to actually inherit the promise and take the land. That's the key, guys, is taking the land. And so as this plumb line is swinging and swaying right now, I believe it's still starting to slow down, but things are coming clearer, visions are getting clearer, mindsets are getting clearer, ministries and callings are getting clearer, understanding's coming, even in this season. And a great picture of this, guys, I was just doing some devotional things today, and I was reminded of some things that I had studied in Luke 15, and most of us know it as the parable of the lost coin. And it's yes, I'll put it on YouTube, man, if it'll save. A parable of the lost coin and the lost sheep and the lost son. And I know obviously we know that's dealing with the people that are coming back home and coming back into the kingdom, but I believe there was another layer that was kind of prompted up there. And it talks about, here it says in Luke 15 verse 8, talks about a woman that had 10 pieces of silver. She loses one piece. It says, does she not light a candle or light a lamp, sweep the house, and then seek diligently till she finds it? And I believe that's what the Lord is doing. There's a lot of lost coins out there, and I was like, Lord, what are you saying about the lost coins? And see, these lost coins were lost in the house. They weren't lost outside in the world. They were lost in the house. And a coin has value. So these are people of value, and God values people. And I believe what he's saying is there are people that are in the house, or they're in the house of God, but they're out of place. And so there's people that are in the house, they're out of place. And that's that plumb line of awakening. It's coming to line up the house, to make sure things are true, to make sure things are vertically upright and everything's in perfect alignment. And that I believe is, I just want to re-release that to you guys and just remind you kind of the seasons that we're in right now, is that he's aligning things, and that there may be some people that are in the house. You may be in certain churches, you may be in certain businesses, you may be in certain ministries, and you've been tossing to and fro. Do I go? Do I stay? Do I stay? Do I go? Whatever it is. But the Lord is trying to align you where he wants you in this season, where he wants you positioned for the next move of God, where he wants you to be positioned for the harvest, so you can reap the greater harvest of souls for the kingdom. And so that don't be alarmed when you start seeing things shifting and people transitioning. I've experienced this even myself. I was part of a great ministry in Cleveland, but the Lord started shifting and training and sending, and so we can go out and be more fruitful. And that's what he's doing, guys. And so another good prophetic friend of mine, he was part of a great church as well, but the Lord has spoke to him the same thing, and then he's in a season of of being shifted and transitioned to another place to be more fruitful for the kingdom. And so the Lord's really aligning a lot of things with that plumb line of awakening. And I believe that the swaying of that plumb line, it's still swaying, but it's slowing down. And I believe once things start slowing down, your decisions will be clearer in this season. The places will be clearer in this season, and even the partnerships and the people that God's surrounding you with will be even clearer in this season. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. That about this plumb line. Again, you can go find that word on charismamag.com. It's called one prophetic word and 4 keys for intercessors. If you want to check the fullness of it to see, but I just want to give you that update. I believe that the Lord is still aligning things, and there's a lot of shifting going on, but it's not a wind of doctrine that's coming to shift everybody. But the Lord is strategically placing His people where and with the people that they'll be most fruitful with. Why? Because it's for the greater good of the harvest. And so again, Luke, I believe it's in Luke 5 where Peter, there was such a great harvest of fish that Peter had to beckon for his partners. And so there was even a great alignment there. They've been working and toiling all night, doing things that they normally do, doing certain things in a certain routine. But because of partnership and because of the harvest that was there, the initial harvest, God brought partnerships and He brought in divine alignments to bring in a greater harvest. And I would say that's what He's doing now. That plumb line awakening is coming to the house of God to align people with other people, align ministries with other ministries, to align partnerships, to align generations, to bring in the greater harvest. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you the next time.